Hello, guys. What is happening? And welcome to tonight's live stream. So, basically, we're going to go through this that was sent to me, and it's actually off an immigration Facebook group, I believe. So, the person that actually writ this may actually end up commenting on the video. I sent the link out. So, hopefully, that gets relayed back, and then he might even be in the house tonight. I don't know. But the thing is, this story is incredibly important, I believe, to just go through. And we're just going to go through the story. Then I'll end the stream. Then we'll come back at 6 and do more economic stuff and everything like that. But yeah, this is just kind of crazy. So without further ado, I'm going to dig right into this story here. So I've actually pasted it into a text document just because I want to protect the identity of the person who obviously writ this. So basically, I'll start reading it. And I think it's just so important for everybody to really take this in, and really important for the listeners. You know, I get sent a lot of stories, but some like really kind of pull on your heartstrings a little bit. This is definitely one of those. So my wife, kids, and I live in Ottawa, in the Ottawa area. I am a doctor in my mid 30s, making what should be considered a good income. But due to the high cost of living here, we are really just getting by financially, despite living very frugally. I was born and raised in the Ottawa area and always thought we would live here to raise our family. However, my thinking has dramatically changed in the last couple of years. Since we were married about a decade ago, we have been renting a townhouse through necessity, in brackets. But 3 years ago, we started to look into buying a starter family house in the Ottawa area. We held off buying because the houses were just too expensive for us even then, and hoped for prices to go down while we attempted to save more money to buy a house. Housing prices have exploded here since then, and now we have had to face the hard reality that we are not able to afford buying a house here or anywhere in Ontario within access of a place for my work. I do not want to buy a house which will put us into immense debt. So I think that's a something that everybody could agree with. Nobody wants to buy this ball and chain, and even this guy says it. And I believe he was a doctor. I thought it actually said here at the beginning, but oh yeah, I am a doctor in my mid 30s. So this guy is a doctor. He's making decent income, and he can't afford a house. And this isn't even in Toronto. We're talking about Ottawa. So that just goes to show you how crazy this situation has got. And it just shows you the future ahead. Because if this continues, what doctors are going to come to this country? No doctors are going to come to this country. Are you kidding me? They're going to be going to the United States. And we'll get onto that shortly. But it's just absolutely ludicrous in my head. And people who wish for these housing prices to continue to go up are wishing for their own demise. Little do they know. But the thing is, the whole economy, the whole bubble economy revolves around this stupid housing bubble. And when it all goes pop, everybody's going to lose their job and be scratching their head about it. But anyways, that's enough me getting off on one. So I do not want to buy a house which will put us into immense debt that we are chained to for the majority of our remaining lives. Yeah, that's a statement we can all agree with right there. I want for us to live as debt-free as possible and for my kids to experience the most in life. That's, again, a statement that anybody with kids can relate to. That financial freedom does not exist here or anywhere in Canada anymore. Totally agree with you there. My parents tell me they do not recognize the city or country they grew up in and raised their family in. They state they are concerned for our future here and the future of their grandkids. Housing affordability in Canada was at its worst level in 31 years at the end of 2021, according to RBC Economics. And they gave a warning that there's no relief in sight. In fact, all predictions show it continuing to rise. The expert forecast shows another significant growth for 2022 rapid price escalation in the early months of 2022 has already raised the bar to impossible levels for many home buyers. And with the Bank of Canada now in the process of hiking interest rates materially, we can expect a total increase of at least 150 basis points in the coming year. Ownership costs look set to spiral even higher. Worst ever affordability levels will ensue, putting buyers in a precarious spot, wrote RBC Assistance Chief Economist Robert Hogue in the report. I've seen a lot of that guy's postings, and I don't agree with a lot of what he says. It's just complete hogwash. But anyway, nevertheless, we'll dive into that part because obviously this is something that we've discussed multiple times on here. But if you actually look at the probabilities, when interest rates move higher, the probabilities of housing becoming more affordable is actually higher than when interest rates go down. So the tightening that will happen will have an immediate effect of making housing less affordable. But obviously, that's got to ripple out and play into the market. And when you're dealing with a massive bubble, any decline, whether it's 10, 20% on the hundreds of percent of yearly increases that have happened over the past couple of years, could put us into a banking crisis and probably will put us into a banking crisis. And of course, RBC is never going to admit that themselves because they have a massive slice of that in their portfolio, and they are massively, obviously, exposed to the residential real estate market. So, okay, so $1 million gets you a small starter home in the Ottawa area now. Ottawa proper outside suburbs in just the last 5 years have seen price increases of over 150% to over 200%, with house prices rising at a significantly faster pace than wages. Home ownership has become increasingly unaffordable for us. And it is not just housing that is unaffordable. Overall, everything is way overpriced, overvalued, overtaxed, all while getting so much in less return than even just 5 years ago. It's unsustainable, and we no longer want to raise our family here, as everything shows us that life here will be extremely expensive, limited, and hard. Ottawa has always had the reputation of being a boring place to live, but it's safe. Ottawa is boring, but it's no longer really that safe either. 2021 in Ottawa was a record-breaking year for violent crimes and homicides, as well as a massive spike in drug abuse, homelessness. I'm not sure what happened there with why that's gone black. Depression and suicide. It is sad to see the place I grew up in go down so quickly and only getting worse. I supported Trudeau and was excited when he was elected, but his policies and the ideologies that he has followed are devastating Canada. Yeah, I totally agree. And it's just absolutely insane. You know, there are a number of people actually on this channel who work in the medical field. And I know there's a couple, I think there's like 3 people on this channel who live in the Lower Mainland in BC. And one guy particularly who I've spoke to has said like it's the same thing there. Like it's exactly the same story. Doctors in the Lower Mainland in BC can't afford to even buy a townhouse. And when you start to really think about that and the implications of that long term, that's when you realize the healthcare system just ain't going to work the way it is right now. You know, there ain't going to be no free health service here in Canada in 10 years. If there is, there ain't going to be one left because it's just going to be that overrun and depleted. And at some point, they're going to have to realize, unfortunately, and I do say unfortunately, because it will be mismanaged and it will be a total disaster because everything the government does is a total disaster, is it will have to go to some sort of private or semi-private system so that they can pay doctors and nurses more so that they can actually attract the talent. And that will have to happen. And, you know, it's the same situation in the UK as well. I've heard all about that when I was just back home, how the UK, the NHS is just totally overwhelmed there. And that's another free health service. And it's just falling apart. Like, it's absolutely falling apart. And it's just unbelievable. And the health service here in Alberta, I hear stories all the time. Like, it's just absolutely on its knees. And these things aren't getting any better fast. And with doctors and nurses and all the other people that just don't want to live here and can make so much more money in the United States, where their labor is in equal demand, they're going to move down there. You better believe it. And they're not going to think twice about it. So I see no future here for myself or my family here. I know many young adults in the medical field who are facing the same reality and are moving to the US, where they will make more money, be able to buy a house at half the cost. Overall cost of living is lower and taxed less. One of my friends, who is a family dentist in the Toronto area, is moving to Tennessee, where he will make double the income he is making now. Another reason he is leaving Canada is the Liberal and NDP's new dental care program for kids, which will likely lead to him making even less. My wife's parents, siblings, and extended family live about 30 minutes outside of uptown Detroit, Michigan, in a nice suburb, and that is where we will look to move. I've already looked into jobs there. Are several opportunities available, and I would be almost making double what I am here. Plus, houses there are half the cost. You can get a really nice family house on a good sized lot of land for $500,000. My wife's brother and his wife with 3 kids recently upgraded to a really nice big house on 2 acres for $450,000. Here in Ottawa, you cannot get anything worth living in for $500,000, let alone a small family house that is decent. My parents are planning to sell their house in the Ottawa area and buy a house in Windsor, Ontario, in order for us. It hasn't been an easy decision, but there are certainly the best one for my family and our future. I did not go to university for a decade to make stagnant income and have so little to show for it. It makes no sense to live, raise a family, or work here anymore. So there you go, guys. I mean, that just pretty much shows you hook, line, and sinker what the future of healthcare is in Canada. A total disaster. And with all the immigration that's going on right now, which is just bringing in tons of people who have no money, no real skills or anything like that, and are just abusing the immigration policies that Trudeau has put in place, we're really going to see the fruits of that come to fruition over the next 5 or so years, and I won't be here. But anyway, the thing is, everybody who's got a brain is going to up sticks and leaves. And you know, to a lot of patriots out there, because I know a lot of people love Canada, and believe me, I love Canada, and I wish it was totally different. But there is limited things that we can do to change a country. Like, this goes far beyond our control, and the politicians have been smart in some ways in having these ridiculous immigration policies, shortening the time it takes to get citizenship. Why did he do that, you ask? Well, then they can vote, and who are they going to vote for? They're going to vote for that clown. It really gets my blood boiling, because the direction this country's going in is just completely the wrong one. And anybody with a brain can work it out. Like, there is no thing that I can look to and say, yeah, this might save us, you know, because there is nothing. There really is nothing. And when you hear things like this, doctors making probably $200,000 a year, or at least you would hope it's around that amount, and they can't even afford it. They can't even afford to buy a townhouse. Like, what do you expect? You know, these are highly skilled people, and I've been saying this for so long, and it feels like I'm just beating this drum all the time. But the thing is, highly skilled people will just leave. that's the reality of it. And it's been the reality of it for the past 5-6 years anyways. Like anybody, if they've had a good business, they just move it to the US. If they have a good amount of skills, they just move to the US. Like the only people who get stuck here are the people with family here, who have connections, so they're sort of grounded and they can't move anywhere. And that's just the way it is for them. But even so, they can move. It's just not ideal and it's more difficult, yes, but it can be done nevertheless. And I really hope that's my message anyway. But there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no point in sugarcoating this and saying everything's going to be fine, guys. Everything is going to be fine, because it isn't. Like, I get so many comments now, obviously, with the channel nearly being at 3,000 subscribers. And I get so many idiots comment on this channel as well. And I just look at their comments and I'm like, I know so much about you just from this little paragraph that you've written, and you don't even know it. But you're literally like, people come and they write these comments. And the funny thing is, I look at them and I'm like, you're literally the person that I talk about all the time. And here you are just solidifying that right for me and for the audience. And, it's just madness to me. Madness. So anyway, it's just really crazy. And I wish, like, the people of Canada, phenomenal people for the most part. Obviously, everybody has their moments, everybody has their weird parts and everything like that. But for the most part, Canadians are fantastic people. But the country is going downhill like a freight train out of control. So it's just unbelievable, really. But I just think, it's insane. And to me anyway, like I'm not going to sit here and say move to the US, everything's going to be great in the US, because that's far from the truth. It really ain't like that. And I'm certainly not going to move to the US, at least long term. I have family in the US. I've visited the US many times, stayed with family. I know all the ins and outs, the good, the bad. And you know what? It's definitely a better place than Canada. But there's better places, especially if you're a remote worker, you're not tied to a specific location, then you should not be looking in the United States to move there. You should be looking at somewhere more affordable than the United States, more disconnected. It's going to be a better place long term. So anyway, let's see what people are saying in the comments. Dr. Mr. Fool says Doc makes like 100K cash in BC. I think they make more than that, because when I looked, and I did look a while ago, I think Ontario pays the highest, and I think BC was up there. I think it was the second highest, because it was higher than Alberta. Alberta's pay for doctors and people in the medical field is just, it's not good compared to the rest of Canada, and they wonder why the health service is falling apart in Alberta. Doctors can't afford it. This is hilarious, especially for Ottawa. Such a shame. This turd bubble needs to blow. Yeah, it does, exactly. But you know what? It's going to obviously blow at some point, and prices might be down like 40% at that point. Let's just throw a number out there. But then I think you're going to see like 10, 20 years of just consistent declines. And I think that's really going to be the depression. The depression is going to be the stagnation that occurs after the big crash. And I think that I was listening to a podcast by Emil and Jeff Snyder, and it was fantastic. And I forget the name of it, the exact episode, but their podcast, Eurodollar University, is fantastic. But anyway, they were saying about how everybody refers to Japan and the lost decade. But was it really a lost decade, or was it just a depression? Well, it was really just a depression. Just everybody doesn't want to call it that. So they just call it the lost decades, which they're still experiencing to this day. They're still in the lost decade number 2 or 3 now. So yeah, it's just insane to me, guys. Absolutely insane to me. So yeah, I just can't believe it. How's how's the New Zealand real estate market doing? We're doing a live stream on that Wednesday, and if you're from New Zealand, make sure you go down to the channel, set a reminder for that live stream. Be 6 p.m. Mountain Time on Wednesday. We're going to go through a couple of things and check in on the New Zealand housing market. So don't forget about that. Trent says, has everybody smashed the like button? Go smash it. Yeah, thank you. Go smash that like button because it just helps the algorithm do its magic and get this out to more and more people. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave this stream right there. I'll be back at 6 p.m. with the other stream that we're doing at the normal time. But thank you so much, guys, for watching this stream and hearing this story. And we're going to just continue to be here beating that drum. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Peace and love, guys. Bye-bye.